Hey kids, Mr. Glenn here, hope you're well. Now, as we get a little bit more familiar and confident with working with images, sometimes there are some things you just want to play around with inside your picture. For example, here we've got a flamingo. I think it's a flamingo, I'm not entirely sure, but what I'd like to do is put some eyebrows onto my flamingo, because I just think it would be quite funny. I also might later on put some fangs or a big giant mouth here. I don't know. Maybe just put some ears on it, or even a hat. But what we could do is we'll go to Unsplash and I search for some eyebrows. So I'm going to go and copy this and go and insert this. We all know how to do this in the other videos. We go to File, Open Picture from URL, paste this in. You can see I've already been playing around with it. And then I'm going to use the skills that I've learned from the other lessons and using my clipping mask, which is in here, and also the adjustment layer. So I'm going to go into here and go to the adjustment layer. So what I want to do, before I start to destroy this layer with an eraser and start to trim this down, is this lady's skin color needs to match the flamingo pinkish. So what are we going to do? So let's go and fix that to the layer, and then what I'm going to do is just go to a new adjustment layer, so then I can go and clip it. I'm going to go to a new adjustment layer. Now inside here there are some color balances and there are some hues and saturation. So what I can do with the hue and saturation is, if you've experimented a little bit, is I can start to change the hue and saturation slightly with the greens and the reds. So what the hue does is it takes one piece away from the other. So it'll take like reds away and then leaves all the greens and the blues. And it'll take the blues away and it'll only leave the reds and the greens. So you can see this moves around. And as I move the slider about, it kind of gets me in the range of that pink. Except you can see that it started to change the flamingo at the same time. That's not what I want. Instead, what I'm going to do is go to Clipping Mask and make it only for this layer. Now I can mess around with the pinks and the hues and get it to be sort of as close as I can with that sort of reddish tinge. That might be alright, because the reason I want to do this is because the eyebrows are hair, and so now I can go and start to erase the eyebrows out, or erase the rest of the face out if I go and get a really hard brush now. And I don't want to be in this one. It'll tell me, do I want to rasterize it? Yes, I do. And I can just go and erase that out with a giant eraser, being very careful not to be, because remember we are destroying the layers now, which isn't, as I keep saying, isn't the way we are supposed to do things. Get rid of the eye. There we go. Now I can go and get a smaller brush and I can make it a lot softer, because I want to retain some of the hair. That brush is probably too small. Here, and I can start to erase now, just very gently around. And the trick is, when you're erasing like this, is to look where you want the eraser to go rather than where the eraser actually is. And that way, it's a bit like cutting with scissors. You don't sort of look at the scissors, you look at where you want to go and cut. So I'm going to go and put that in there like that. And remember, if you have quite a large brush, or a larger brush, you get a bigger radius, and so that radius allows the edge to be a little softer. Now I've not done a great job of erasing that at all. Now this is the problem with destructive modes, is that if you are destroying something, you can't get it back. But if you mask and you are non-destructive, it means you can get things back. So if you make a mistake, you can get things back really easily without having to go through masses through masses and masses of undos. Right, it's going to go and trim that off like that. Zoom out a bit, hit V to select, and start to move my eyebrows around. And my eyebrows are too small, so I need to go and transform. So I need to go to Edit and Free Transform, and turn this around. It's rather large. Now, free transforming the edges here, it's not the best thing to do really, to be honest, but it's okay. Now, do I make the bird looking evil? I think we'll give it some evilish. And there you go. So, using hue and saturation, clipping mask, which will allow us just to use this layer. And if we are destructive, we can go and use the eraser and the soft eraser to give birds eyebrows. All right. As always, year 6. Good luck.